everyone, this is Starzenith33 Francesca. Great morning from Southern California here where it's really sunny. I woke up this morning, I was like, wow, the sun is so bright, right? And yesterday was not as bright. We've been having some overcast and it's been a little bit foggy, right? And so I said, you know what, I'm going to jump on here just to see how everybody's doing with that new moon in Cancer that I did predict we could have dreams, and I want to talk about my dreams, which is so bizarre. So anyway, let's jump in there and just pretty much talk about an update and what is going on this new moon in Cancer. So, welcome to the podcast here at the Astroweather Celestial Clockwork, okay? And this is where I weekly talk about the astros, the planets, the asteroids, storytell, and I'm going to dive more into also astro mapping, okay? And I will be doing a combination of videos and also audio because I think audio is super important. Like I mentioned, somebody could be driving or going on a road trip and they need to drive, right? Unless you have a driveless car, right? But normally, you don't want to crash or nothing. So you don't have time to look at video, but you can hear audio, right? So you can put it in your car, you can be taking a shower, listening to it, and you can, use it in any way where you won't be distracted with video, at least audio can help you while you're going on a road trip. So I wanted to talk about this dream that I had this morning, okay, which is so weird because I was having such a great day and I did podcasts last night, okay, and my dream was early in the morning and, that's why I woke up like super early, but also because I have an event to attend and that's why I just said, I'm just gonna, do it really quick, do a quickie here. For those that want to know, I'm going to go watch the game and at noon. So, and also check out the newest waterfront that is ready to open, to the public. So not the initial grand opening, but it's a sneak peek of what it's going to look like. So we've been waiting years, to finally, walk through there and just take a look at the things that are happening in our community. So that's something that I want to do. While at the same time, the FIFA game is going to be shown on giant screen TVs and they're going to have a DJ. So it should be pretty fun. And it's the best timing because today it was so sunny. I woke up and I was like, "Whoa, it's really sunny," And it has, like I said, it has not been like that the past days, And so it's a beautiful thing, Good thing it's not too hot. It's just pretty sunny. So let me take a sip here of my pineapple water. So I wanted to talk about the dream that I had. Okay. I think it's important. I did mention that as the new moon was happening, it was happening during the hour of Mercury. Okay. So when we're in the hour of Mercury, we can tend to have dreams, especially because it was like two of the morning and somewhere around there. I think it was like 2:40, somewhere around there of the morning. And I had podcasts and right before it entered in the new moon, and, I try to go to sleep, and I was like, "Okay, well, let me go to sleep because I have to wake up early." And so I did that, and I got on my grounding mat so I could have really good sleep because right before I go to sleep, when I use my grounding mat, I sleep really good, like a baby. And because it grounds you, right? So I had a dream and I'm not surprised. It could have been many things that could have happened with that dream. It could have been that people were pushing onto me because people can do that. Okay, there's evil people out there that are just very jealous and envious, and they'll try to send you energy that, that's why you have to block it. This is why I wear jewelry. I wear a lot of metallic jewelry. Not only that it blocks the frequency of the people that are trying to throw me their evil entities or whatever it is, but also, it prevents like negativity coming into my my space, my body, my aura. So I just started wearing hematite. I used to wear it before, and I wear it. I wear some moldavite as well, which I've worn moldavite for many years. And I started wearing now a ring, but I used to wear a necklace. And, you know, I use Libyan tektite as well. And that's very much aligned with my astrocartography in Libya. Like Jupiter crosses right through there. I think Jupiter or Venus, one of those. So it's very lucky for me to wear Living Tektite. And I try to wear jewelry that is from other countries where my astrocartography is, because that's why I elevate, because I'm aligned with these countries, and not all of them, but the ones that I am aligned with, I try to wear jewelry from that country. So my dream was that, which is so rare. I'm like, why would I be dreaming of aliens? That's what it was about. It was about aliens. And I don't know why I was dreaming of aliens. I have not been thinking of aliens or nothing. And I already know that it has to do probably with my Jupiter. My Jupiter is in Aquarius. Aquarius is known for flying saucers and aliens and all that stuff, alien activity. And it is conjuncting Pluto exactly at 4 degrees. So, 4 degrees is about control. It's about the government. It's about law and order and so forth. And so a Jupiter conjunct Pluto is a placement of a billionaire. Okay. It's a very highly aspected placement. And this is why I also wear shungite, because it's very elevated. And I have the type of frequency that's very elevated, it's very amplified. And when you are amplified in that way, you could get chest pains. You can, you know, uh, probably even like just, I don't know, anything could happen, right? And so I wear shungai because it protects me from those radiation, that high radiation of 5G, especially if you live in a town that has high 5G, because of being a tourist place, where there's a lot of, the port of Los Angeles, right? They require a lot of high internet speed and all of that, and then the machinery and everything. So they have to use strong 5G. And, communities around it just have to protect themselves. It doesn't mean you can't live around the area. Just protect yourself. You wear some shungai, and then make sure you have some shungai inside your home as well, you know? That will protect your home and protect yourself, right? Because there are studies that have tested the shungai when you wear shungai and when you don't wear it, right? And when you don't wear it is really high, the 5G, and which is not healthy for the body. And when you wear shungai, and they've tested this with machines and so forth, when you wear shungai in a 5G area, it's so low. It goes really low. Like you can't even feel the 5G at all. Okay. So what it does, it brings it so low, the 5G, so it will not affect your body. It will not affect I've been wanting to buy the pebbles because I've been wanting to test the water. You could put these pebbles in the water. I do have to say, because I mentioned this in my other podcast and I didn't mention this part because I don't want people to be drinking the pebbles. Okay. You put pebbles, there's these black pebbles, and you put them in a glass of water, and then you put water in it and leave it in there at least maybe about 20, 30 minutes, for it to really, not digest, but really, have the effect of the shungite pebbles inside the water. And then you remove the pebbles. Okay, that is a key part. Remove the petals. You don't drink the petals. Okay, you remove the pebbles, the stones, whatever they are, and the shungite stones, and then you drink the water, you know, and because you need to make sure it's diluted, with the pebbles is giving that energy to the water, and then you just drink the water. So you're drinking like the shungite in your body. So I think that's even more effective than just wearing, but it's still effective. The shungite I don't take my shungite necklace at all. Okay. Everywhere I go, because I'm surrounded by 5G. And sometimes you can't do nothing about it. You live in the area and you just you gotta adapt to the environment, but you do have to wear protection though. And I couldn't do it without the shungite. Like it really there's a lot of studies too that it affects the brain. It affects everything. And so I even have shungite inside the home. Okay, in my living room, in different parts of the room and so forth because we all need to be protected, not just me. So anyway, enough of the shungite there. So in the dream, I was walking, and this is, I do have to say, I don't want people to think like, oh, she's going crazy or something, she's losing her mind, which some people might think that, but no, I am very clear. I have clarity. I'm a visionary, and I actually pulled a couple of word cards on me with pertaining to the dream and what was going on with that, right? Because I have a deck of just words. And I'm very intuitive, so every time I'm pulling some of the cards, they're very accurate. And so some of the words were that you have power, you know. You have power and they fear your power. These demons, they fear your power. And you're a very powerful person. And what was another word? It was boss up. The word was boss up. What was the other word? It was they were really good words. It was it was boss up and it was power and I don't know. I don't remember. I put like 6 words. I don't remember all of I have them here, but I don't know if oh yeah, professional. Something about being professional because that will make the demons go away or whatever was trying to attack you. What else was there? And the word dreams came out too, okay? The dreams word came out and I forgot. There were just random words. I don't know. I don't I should have wrote them down or something. So anyway, there were good words. And oh, here's one of the dreams. Oh, let's see. I don't remember. But anyway, but they were good words. I really liked them. And But today's word for the collective for everybody is viral. Okay. So there's something about going viral and it said laugh as well. Okay. So yeah. So that viral word is for the collective. But for me, it was more about like bossing up and you have power. And that's why they're afraid. And I clarified the word power and demons was in reverse. Oh, you know what? It was Saturn was in reverse as well, which I'm not surprised because Saturn in Aries right now, it's in its fall position. Okay. So it's very weak. It gets weakened with the sign of Aries. And this is why we're going to see a lot of men fall when it comes to Saturn and Aries. Of course, not every man, but the masculinity with Saturn and Aries tends to get weaker and weaker and weaker. And it just it's because it doesn't do well with Aries. And so in order to avoid the weekend, I would say, try to strengthen your mind because it rules the head and go to the gym, do exercise the mind, not just the muscles, read good books and things like that. I would encourage for you guys to do if you are a man or something, and take care of your health, take your vitamins and everything else, especially if you do have Aries in your chart. So, that is very important. So, because I seen Saturn in reverse. So I feel something pertaining to the dream has something to do with Saturn in its fall. And let me explain real quick on the dream there because I don't want to take too long in that. Mm, The the dream was that I was walking, and this is the second dream I've had of aliens. Okay, so I'm not going crazy, and it's in the same location. Okay, the same location. The first time I had the dream, and the Channel 2 News, I think it's KCAL. Is it KCAL or something? KCAL News or something? No, I think it's CBS. No, it's CBS. No, KCAL is Channel 9. CBS is Channel 2. And they were there, the news reporter ladies, and there was a flying saucer that landed there, and they got tricked, and they told them, "Oh, you gotta go inside there," like, inside the flying saucer, where the aliens were, and they say, "You gotta escape because there's aliens that are gonna attack," or something like that, and these news ladies with high heels and everything, they all were going inside the flying saucer, and the flying saucer just went, "Woof," and it took them up in the air, and I was like, "Oh my god, they got tricked," right? And because I think what's going on, if there is aliens, if there is flying saucers, which probably we're going to see more activity of that because North Node is going to enter Aquarius pretty soon for 2 years. So it's going to be a lot about technology, aliens, we're going to see maybe more activity on aliens, and flying saucers because it's going to come together with Pluto. And so we can see that, and I have Jupiter in Aquarius, so I'm a visionary. So I'm not going crazy, I'm getting dreams, and I don't know, sometimes I kind of think, you know, maybe there's no such thing as aliens, and maybe they're made believe robots that are made to look like aliens, but they're not aliens, they're actually robots. That's what I think. I don't know. For me, in the Bible, it doesn't talk about nothing about aliens. And I feel that they could be man-made just as robots are man-made, right? But maybe they're man-made to kill, to be evil, and put them out so we could be afraid. But the Bible does say, do not be afraid, right? So it doesn't talk about in the Bible anything. It talks about sea monsters, but it never talks about aliens, or like weird, unhuman, you know, demons, I would think. But they didn't talk about aliens. So I don't know. For me personally, there could be man-made, And so in my dream anyway, I was walking in the same location where I had the first dream, okay? And it's a location where it's a lot of Asians live there, and it's like a retirement home for like elderly people. And it's that same location, and, in that same location, I always see dead crows, okay? I always see dead crows, dead birds, dead squirrels. So I don't know what is going on with that area, okay? There must be some weird thing going on in that area. So sometimes I pass through there because, when I do my errands, I have to go through there. And usually I see Asian people and they say hello and, elderly Asians and so forth. And I also see just cars like dropping them off there and stuff like that. So in that same location, I had the dream yesterday, well, today in the morning, and I was walking through there, on my way home. And it was already getting dark, and one lesson that I can take from this is not to walk at nighttime, you know. But, sometimes, it starts getting dark and you're like, "Oh man, where did time go?" And, the good thing that there are line bikes, but I don't know why I was not on a line bike, But I guess I just wanted to take a power walk or something, just wanted to walk through there. And I was walking and going towards home and it was getting dark. And then all of a sudden a flying saucer like just passed right by me, really high though, really high in the sky. And I just kind of looked up and I'm like, oh my God, that's a flying saucer, And I don't know why it creeped me out. I got a little bit fearful, I guess. But it was not something exciting, like, "Oh my gosh, a flying saucer." It wasn't like that. It was just like, "Oh my gosh, like, why is there a flying saucer?" And so I seen it from far and I took off my phone because I was gonna take a video of it, right? And then all of a sudden, I see the flying saucer that makes a circle and comes towards my way. And I said, "Oh my God, it's coming over here." So there's a tree and I'm hiding right behind the tree so the flying saucer doesn't see me, right? Because at first I used to think of aliens like, "Oh, they're my friends." Oh, they're not gonna do, because I did actually get a little bit healed from, they're called the Arcturus aliens. Those are healing aliens. And they were pretty cool. They did help me with my sciatica. There was a YouTube video on the Arcturus aliens, that they heal. And it's something about the frequency of that video. It did something to my back when nothing worked. And all of a sudden, there's something about the frequency of that video with the Arcturian aliens. And all of a sudden, my back started healing and it started getting better and better. I was like, whoa, that's so crazy when it comes to frequency, right? And that's all I can say about that. And then my sciatica went away and I tried everything and nothing worked, not even Advil. And I was getting addicted to Advil because the pain was so horrible. So anyway, and so I always thought aliens, oh, they're pretty cool. They heal my back and stuff. But this time I felt attacked. And so the flying saucer came towards me, and it's kind of like maybe they did not want to be known that they were traveling, or they didn't want to be seen. I'm like, well, then why go through here, right? If you don't want to be seen, we're going to catch a video or take a picture or something like that. So if you don't want to be seen, just don't pass through here or go to your earth, wherever. So anyway, it was coming my way and I hid like near a tree, but they knew I was hiding. Like they seen me and they pointed out. Okay, there was like these windows in this flying saucer and they had machine guns. Okay. And these machine guns didn't have bullets. They had a blue light, like purple blue light, like ultraviolet light. And they were pointing these guns at me with this blue light. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, oh no, they didn't. But because I was wearing protection, because I was wearing metal, and that's another clue there as well. My recommendation, always wear metal. Okay. You just don't know how you're gonna be attacked frequency wise. Okay. And metal, it makes all the negativity go away, right? So you won't get attacked and so forth. Especially if they're pointing anything blue at you, right? Which is control. Okay, if for those that don't know, the blue light rules control. It's control over the collective, control over people, and so forth. And so this is why, like the blue lighting that you put in your home, I have a blue lighting, an ultra blue purple light. And when it's kind of dusty inside the house, I'll just turn it on. I haven't turned it on lately, but I used to turn it on a lot and it will clear out all the room, all the dust and everything. It will control all of it. And so that's what I use my blue light for. But the blue light is to control. And so they had big old machine guns pointing at me and I was like, "Oh my God." But I hid and I don't it backfired because of my metal and they went away. Like they didn't shoot or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe they were just trying to make me fearful or something, or just pointing guns at me and from the sky, from inside the flying saucer. So the flying saucer didn't come to Earth and be where I at my level. It was still up there trying to shoot from up there. And I was like, okay, but for me personally, I feel it backfired because my metal worked because they went away. So they never got to shoot or nothing. They just with the blue light. I could see the blue light. And so I don't know these must have been evil aliens or something, evil people, evil monsters, evil demons, whatever it is, right? And so that was my dream. And so for me, I'm not going to walk at night anymore cuz there's probably weirdos. Second of all, I do believe that the town I live in has alien activity. I do believe they have released some aliens and there's something about that area there. Okay. And then third of all, there could be demons. Third of all is just, I'm protected by God. I'm one of his chosen ones and God's not going to let anything happen to me, and I am protected. And when I was thinking about the dream when I woke up this morning, I heard the download because I was like, sometimes, I will talk inside the house, right? Because it's my conversation with God or with my ancestors or with my angels, and they'll respond back to me. When I'm making coffee, especially in the kitchen, when I'm making coffee or making my juice or something, I'll say, why did I dream of that? That was a bizarre dream that I had. And then I'll hear downloads. Okay. And so, and one of the downloads that when I was kind of complaining in the kitchen, I was like, I didn't like that dream at all. On the new moon in Cancer, when it's supposed to be, you know, a very blessed time, but not really so blessed because it is squaring Saturn. Okay. And in my card, Saturn was in reverse. Okay. So whatever control, it didn't work. Whatever fear tactic, it didn't work. It backfired. So, you know, I said, why this and this? And then I heard the download, you're getting recognized. Okay. Because you need to understand that the opposition of Aquarius is Leo. So there's this fascination with celebrities. There's this fascination with people that are standing out, that are being recognized, that are shining bright, right? I don't know what it is about aliens. Like they like to do experiments on Leos, on celebrities, on news reporters, on actors, on all of that, right? And they're just weird, But I heard the download, you're getting recognized. Maybe they recognize you as somebody that is kind of celebrity-like, or maybe you're entering your time where you get famous or something, because they would not be attacking you if you were just somebody normal. But I did hear you're getting recognized, that's why. And so they recognize you as maybe somebody like a celebrity-like, that they are obsessed with. So, and there could be this obsession that could be coming from weird people or very odd people or demons or, because when you start shining so bright, that's when you get attacked. So that's what I took out of this dream, and I said, what is going on with the astrology, right? And, you know, what's going on here is many things here. First of all, I keep hearing Chiron. Okay, I keep hearing Chiron. That keeps coming up. So let's look at Chiron real quick here. Let's see. It's in Taurus. So let me look at. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we got Chiron at 0 degrees, and it is in the 8th house, a transformation and death and the psyche. And it is making a square with Pluto in Aquarius, which rules what? Aliens, right? Alien activity. And it's in retrograde. So this has to do with the past. And what does it say here? Traffic is light. It will take 9 minutes to arrive. Oh, okay. It's telling me about my event. Okay, so the Chiron is on. Let me speed it up here. So Chiron is squaring Pluto in Aquarius, and in the 5th house of fun, entertainment. And so this is why I like to look at the astrology, okay, because it could just tell me that, don't put too much attention or energy, and I'm not into the dream, but sometimes dreams come to us. So it's a strategy of how to move forward and to be aware. Okay, have awareness. Don't take it, too literally, but have awareness of what to do next, right? For me personally, I'm not going to be walking late at night. And I'm going to try to avoid not to be caught up in that area when it starts getting dark. And if it's getting too dark, I'm just not going to go out. I'm not going to go out to at all. And so, only in the daytime, of course. Unless I'm on my bike or something, but I was walking. I don't know why I was not in my bike. That was another weird thing too. So anyway, and another thing too, they could have been pushing these kind of demons towards my sleep or something. This is why, when I put out information there, I put it to the collective. I don't put it out there so people can use it against me because they're jealous, because they're envious, because they're trying to make me suffer, whatever it is. Like, get over it. Okay, get over your obsession with me. I am not going to suffer. I am not going to be sad. I am not going to be alienated. I have God in my life, and God's going to handle what needs to be handled. And you guys need to stop and stop being immature little kids when you're grown ass fucking men. Okay? So that's what I have to say about that. So there's this Chiron here in Taurus in the 8th house. It could also be money. It could be joint finances and contracts or a loss here because it's bringing a challenge to Pluto and Aquarius in the 5th house of Hollywood, in the 5th house of fun, entertainment, and you need to understand that this was not fun. This was not entertainment. This is bringing some sort of trauma where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do things differently. And it's not bringing trauma to me because I've healed a lot of things in my life already. I did the work, the inner work. But I'm not going to lie, where I'm really rethinking about the community I live in. And is there alien activity, right? With machine guns. So it's probably not even aliens, you know? It's probably people they hire, and maybe they could just put a mask on and act like they're aliens, but they're not. And they're actually humans, that are crazy. And so I don't know if they first have to shoot them down with the blue light and then put them in this flying saucer and move them away. Maybe that's their strategy because nobody that is smart is going to go inside a flying saucer. I'm going to tell you that right now. They either have to be tricked, but first maybe they have to sedate them and shoot them with some blue light to put them in the flying saucer. That's just what I'm thinking, And maybe that's why they're trying to shoot from up in the flying saucer. But anyway, like I said, that was a dream. And what is showing me here that there's some kind of trauma with like aliens, alien activity, that they think it's fun, in the 5th house of entertainment and taking a risk and taking a gamble, right? Just to bring, you know, some trauma, with these females here in Taurus, at 0 degrees of rebellion. And it's interesting, it's in the 8th house, right? Of death, of loss, or something like that. So Pluto square Chiron is not a good thing. There's a lot of healing that needs to happen there. Let me see what else I hear. Pluto. Okay, this one's important. Pluto is squaring karma. Okay. So Pluto in Aquarius is squaring karma in the 7th degree of justice in the sign of Scorpio. So there's something karmic that's happening in the sign of Scorpio that is bringing a challenge here to Pluto in Aquarius in the 5th house. Okay, and where karma and Scorpio is in the 3rd house of communication. So it's something that you're communicating about justice that needs to happen and is making a challenge to Pluto and Aquarius over here, where they think is fun, fun and playing games and so forth. Okay. So that's another, and that one's important because, you know, Scorpio at 7 degrees, that's right on my Fortuna in Scorpio of justice, So I'm speaking out this in behalf of my Fortuna in Scorpio that they need to drop these little games, okay? Because it's karma, okay? It will bring you karma, okay? Literally. Another thing too is that Pluto is squaring Fortuna, but in Virgo. Okay, so Virgo has to do with being of service. It has to do with pets. It has to do with the police. And it's at 27 degrees of communication. Okay, so there's this challenge with some communication in regards to Fortuna in Virgo and with Pluto in Aquarius. Okay, and where we have Fortuna in Virgo is in the 1st house of self. Okay, it's the self. It is the I am. Okay, so it could be a fortunate Virgo. Okay, that might be in his fortunate or her fortunate, and it's making a challenge with Pluto in Aquarius in the 5th house of entertainment. Maybe this Virgo is just sick and tired of all these games. And say, I had enough. Like, these people need to grow up, and we need to start supporting the community. We need to start doing good things in the community. That's what a leader does. Okay. And maybe this Virgo is going to start, doing changes when it comes to maybe a community, maybe not going with the flow like usually, like a mutable sign, right? Or just go with the flow because I'm getting paid a lot of money for it. No, you got to make a difference. You take a look at all these other leaders that are making a difference in the community, right? And they said, I had enough, you know? And, you know, we got to talk about the problems that are arising and how they're being so immature. This Pluto in Aquarius is in the fifth house of Hollywood. Okay. So this could pertain to actors. This could pertain to circles and groups. And like I mentioned, this new moon in Cancer is squaring Saturn in the 11th house of circles. It's something that is happening in your community with Saturn in Aries, which is in its fall in the 11th house. Well, here in Pacific Standard Time in the West Coast. So it's in the 11th house of circles, okay, where something is happening in your community, right? And it's making a challenge with this new moon in Cancer of this brand new beginning with families and children and safety, because Cancer is about safety, okay? And with Saturn, that it's in reverse. So whatever they were trying to do in the community, it backfired, right? It didn't work. Especially because I pulled one of the words that came out here was Saturn in reverse. So they're weak. They don't have power. Whatever was tr- trying to happen in your community, it just backfired. Okay. It's just certain frequencies, that, especially on a new moon in Cancer, where we're trying to drop all the bad stuff, all the bad luck and everything. And we're starting this new cycle, okay, with families, with children, with sunshine, with joy, happiness and, networking and connecting and everything. And then here's people trying to fuck it up, right? And which is backfiring on them because it's just not working. It's like what the tricks is for kids. It just no longer works. Your tricks are not working anymore. This is why I explained in the podcast that, just the way we did old things, they don't work anymore. You know, we're in this new era that we're trying new things, and your old tricks, your old books are just not working anymore. Okay. So that's what I see here with Pluto. Let me see here. I do have to say, we are having a yod as well. Yeah, we are having a yod here because I see that sextile there and then that inconjunct over here. Yeah, that's interesting there. So those are the things that are happening with Pluto. There's something, it's challenging karma, okay, in Scorpio. It is challenging Chiron over here in Taurus. And so that's what we got there. And the moon, let's go to the moon real quick. Where's the moon? Okay, the moon right now in Cancer is at 26 degrees of banks, of wealth, okay, of real estate. That's where it's at right now. And I still show there that Saturn, no. It's the moon is squaring Chiron, okay, in Taurus right now as well. So something about like trauma, something about healing, okay? Especially when it comes to females, okay? There's something that needs to be healed when it comes to females. It could be probably females that are going through pain or maybe just had a baby because, Cancer has to do with children. It has to do with babies, fertility, all of that, female, femininity. And there's a challenge there with Chiron and Taurus, which there has to be a healing on there, okay? The healing might be also because I think it's in the 8th house. Yeah, it's in the 8th house. So there might be some financial matters or maybe wanting to make money and so forth. Something about money problems there or money issues or not having enough money. There could be some problems where you need to heal when it pertains to that, as it makes a square here with this brand new beginning, okay? Of wealth and status and real estate and so forth. So there could be something to that effect, especially because the moon is conjuncting Jupiter. Okay. So right now, the moon is conjuncting Jupiter in Leo. So can you imagine that? The moon is in Cancer, is conjuncting Leo in Jupiter. So there's this emotion with luxury. There's this emotion with entertainment. And it's being communicated. Okay, so this could be like videos and selfies, and you maybe you go to an event and it's so beautiful, and you feel so luxurious and so forth, and you're doing like videos, and it's all frequency. You want to enter these frequencies. Whoa, what is that? A butterfly? Oh, there's a butterfly in my guava tree. Or I think, yeah, I think it's one of those. It's either a butterfly or a hummingbird. 'Cause I've been getting a lot of hummingbirds. Interesting as I'm talking about Jupiter and Leo, right? And so our emotions could be felt when it comes to luxury. We might feel a little bit elevated. We might be at an event or a location where we feel elevated. So that is a great thing. I love that, the moon conjunct Jupiter. Okay. And also, Jupiter is conjuncting Fama, okay, which in the sign of Leo as well. And it has to do with fame. Okay, so you might be getting probably recognized. You might be getting a little bit famous with that Jupiter and Fama coming together with this moon in Cancer that we just entered. Okay, we're still in that portal of our feelings of how we feel about luxury, how we feel about our elevation, how we feel about certain locations, and so forth. So that is a great thing there. Let me see here. So moon conjuncting Mercury as well. This is Mercury in retrograde. So we might be thinking a lot of things of the past and how we feel about this new moon. This new moon is happening on a retrograde. So we're not 100% moving forward. There's still things of the past that maybe we have not resolved and we have to resolve. And that's why I have mentioned, make sure you clean up the past so that you can enter this new moon with a fresh start, with a clean canvas, and you can not worry about the past anymore. You cleared it out, and it's not going to happen overnight, but if you do the baby steps in order for you to start moving forward and forget about the past, and start new memories, so that's something can happen, but a lot of times when Mercury's in retrograde, a lot of things do not get resolved right away, for whatever reasons they are. Maybe it's a little bit too slow, or because what happens, Mercury retrograde slows you down. Okay. It slows the moment. It slows you down. It slows you can't really sign this contract. So now you have to hold on to that contract and not sign it yet. Especially if it's a big ticket item, like if it's a house or something like that. If it's a really expensive car, you have to check everything, make sure it's not a lemon car. Make sure you look at all the documents and everything, or even have a lawyer take a look at it, before you do anything like that. Big ticket items, I would say anything like the gym or something like that, that's okay to sign. But if it's in a hurry and you need to, get it over with. So there's something that could happen, that your emotions, maybe you might run into people from the past. Okay. That could happen in my town, because there's going to be a lot of tourism, a lot of people. Maybe I run into some people from my high school, in, the FIFA fan zone. Maybe not, but it's something of the past. Okay. So I mentioned moon is conjuncting Jupiter. It is conjuncting the sun, so things are being illuminated. It's really sunny today. A great day to go to any event. And let's see here. I mentioned this. I did want to talk about the moon squaring Spica. Okay. So Spica is this fortunate star. Okay. And when the moon is in square with Spica and Libra, we're talking about our emotions, our instincts. Okay. We're talking about the public. And with Spica, which is one of the most fortunate fixed stars, okay, that's forming a square, which is a challenge, it can bring tension and growth. Okay. And so the moon in Cancer, it's in its home. It's creating emotions, deep, intuitive, nurturing, and is highly receptive. And it's also a placement of protection. Okay. When it comes to family, security, traditions, and emotional bonds. Okay. It's also very highly psychic. Okay. And it absorbs the moods of other, like a sponge, like Pisces, also moon in Pisces. They also absorb the energy and frequency of others. Okay. So that's why moon and Pisces have to protect themselves a lot. Or even if you're a sun in Pisces like me, I do tend to pick up a lot of energy from other people. I pick it like a sponge. This is why I wear a lot of metal with jewelry and stuff like that. So Spica in Libra is at 24 degrees of prophecy. And this is why I wanted to talk about it, because anything that pertains to 24 degrees, is very prophetic. Okay. It's a Pisces degree. And it's considered, it was Spica at 24 in Libra, is considered one of the most benefic fixed stars. Okay. So it pertains to exceptional talent, honors and recognition, prosperity, artistic gifts, intelligence, divine protection, favor from influential people, success earned through skill and integrity. So Spica is associated with the goddess holding the sheaf of wheat. So it's a symbol of harvest, abundance, cultivated excellence, and it rewards mastery rather than shortcuts. So, what does this square mean? Okay, this square can bring emotional insecurity that can interfere with our success. Okay, so the Cancer moon, it brings emotional safety. But the Spica, it asks us to step into visibility, refinement, and excellence. Okay, so if you hesitate because of this square, that can happen. One or two things can happen, okay? You can fear criticism. You can worry about other people's approval. You can protect loved ones instead of pursuing personal ambitions. You can have an imposter syndrome despite real talent. Okay. So the challenge becomes, can I allow my gifts to be seen even when I don't feel emotionally secure? You know? And, Spica in Libra, it encourages to have diplomacy, to have balance, professionalism, fairness, honesty, and objectivity. Okay. And with this square, it could bring conflict, okay, internal conflict, because we're talking about emotions here. And what feels emotionally comfortable and what is actually the wisest or most balanced choice. Okay. So learning to emotionally detach at the right moment helps to unlock Spica's promise, right? And so what can happen here with Libra, it rules partnerships and relationships. And with this square, we could be emotionally challenged, attracting emotionally challenged relationships. They could be, very hard, very hardship. We could learn through partners. We could balance caregiving with receiving support. And we could discover that healthy relationships elevate rather than diminish your gifts. So this person may attract accomplished, artistic, or social influential people who help them mature. Okay. Some of the hidden talents, okay, need confidence, and Spica often grants remarkable abilities, okay? Sometimes the Cancer moon likes to keep things private, and with this aspect that is squaring, what can happen is that there could be incredibly intuition, naturally creative, deeply compassionate, and highly gifted. But yet you don't get fully recognized in your own brilliance until later in life, okay, after the work has been done. So once the confidence develops, recognition can come quickly because Spica tends to attract opportunities. So notice the pattern recognition, refined judgment, artistic perception, healing abilities, and problem solving. Okay. So this is actually really great for astrology, counseling, psychology, medicine, writing, teaching, public speaking, diplomacy, design, or aesthetics. Okay. When it's in the dark shadow, when it's not integrated, you can have emotional overreactions that can damage opportunities. You can take criticism too personally, difficulty accepting praise, giving away talents to help everyone else, very Libra, putting family needs ahead of personal destiny indefinitely. Okay. So when mature, this aspect can produce someone who uses emotional intelligence wisely, becomes a trusted advisor, gains recognition through compassion and expertise, achieves success without sacrificing kindness, and builds lasting influence through integrity rather than ambition alone. Okay. So the heart carries extraordinary gifts, but emotional courage unlocks them. Speak Up promises abundance and recognition, not because success comes easily, but because emotional maturity allows hidden talents to flourish. So that is something that can happen with that square with Spica and what is it? Spica and the moon. I'm trying to, because there's a lot of things going on in my mind right now. And I'm going to wrap it up here, but I just wanted to update and hopefully that everybody is doing great on this new moon. And I did another hour. Wow. I said I was going to be under 30 minutes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, I better get going here, but I just hope everybody's doing great on this new moon. You guys, woke up on the right side of the bed. I certainly did not. But these are just dreams or just messages, they're warnings, they're alertness, they're alerting us, what not to do, you know, and it probably could be that I'm being seen now. I'm being visible by aliens. So whoever they are, maybe they're illegal aliens. I don't know. Or maybe they're powerful aliens, I don't know. But I did pull one of the word cards for me and power came out. Okay, so maybe my power is being recognized or anything like that. I'm not taking seriously about aliens, okay? I'm just gonna laugh about it, but it could be, I don't know. Maybe I am being recognized by them. Maybe I am being recognized by other people as well. And there's this curiosity about me, that I'm shining or something like that, especially since right now it's on my IC, my body of who I am. Well, the first house is who I am, but the fourth house is still the body, that I carry. But it's my ancestry, my lineage, my roots, where I come from, my home. And that's fine. It comes with the territory, right? Of getting famous, of getting known. And not that, I want to get famous like that, but only God knows, what he has for my life. And if it takes being famous in order to make a difference, then so be it. And that's one of the reasons that I did a long time ago, many, many years. I did want to get into Hollywood before I knew all the darkness that goes on and everything like that. And then I said, no, I'm not going to that. But before, when I had interest in Hollywood many, many years ago, it was not to become famous so that I could be giving autographs and all that, which is that's pretty cool, That's something very rare, but I wanted to do it as a stepping stone to make a difference with my orphans, my orphanage, because we know that when you're famous, you can make way more things than somebody that's just normal and nobody knows them. And, you know, we could be influencers now, influencers now is like the thing, right? And, it's also, influencers are going to be really well paid and pretty much celebrities, when the North Node goes in Aquarius. And so I don't mind. I'm glad I didn't become an actress. God spared my life and, spared me from all the darkness that goes on in there. And so, but when I did wanted to be famous, it was only as a stepping stone. It was not, I didn't want to be a J-Lo. I didn't want to be a Beyonce or nothing like that, or a Shakira or anything like that. It was to use my fame to make a difference with charities, with being known for something. But now we don't need that. You know what I mean? I'm an influencer, and I got to know numerology and astrology, and God is going to put me in the right platforms, in the right places with the right people, where I don't need to sacrifice that. I don't need to sacrifice my life and go into a dark Hollywood, and, God has the wheel, you know, of my life, but I'm not pushing it. It's like, oh, I got to be famous and all this. What's meant to be will be meant to be. And that's all I can say. So, yeah, I'm getting my, it's already announcing, my alarm is already announcing me, okay, get going. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I know I'm going to be doing some documentation in the West Harbor and see what's going on down there, and then take a look at the game and so forth. And yeah, and so if you did like the episode, do like, do share, do subscribe. Again, if you do want to go more deeper and look more into your chart or have a consultation, you can go to my website at www.starzenith33.com and schedule or book an appointment, and we could go from there. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great day and a blessed day, and see you on the next one.